Hello, welcome to another video. Please like, share and subscribe for more amazing story. True God in Another Worlds, Tensura x Tbate, by Tempest_King_20. Side Chapter 9, The Formation of the Disciplinary Committee. Lilia Helsta Pav Tess and I sat anxiously in the director's office, our bodies slightly tense with anticipation. The room exuded an air of sophistication, tastefully decorated with soft, warm lighting that bathed the space in a comforting glow. Towering bookshelves lined the walls, filled to the brim with academic journals and prestigious awards, a testament to the director's remarkable achievements. A plush, brown couch sat against one wall, where Ree lounged, engrossed in a captivating book. Tess couldn't contain her excitement as she spoke up, her wide eyes shining with anticipation. "So, you're saying that I will become the student council president, while Lilia will become the deputy?" Her voice held a subtle tremor, revealing the mix of emotions bubbling beneath the surface. The director nodded, her lips curling into a small, knowing smile. "Yes, that's correct. The student council is a vital group that represents the institution and handles important decision-making for the school, alongside with me. Your leadership qualities and commitment to your peers have not gone unnoticed, Tess." Ree, who had been quietly enjoying a cup of steaming tea, finally interrupted his leisurely moment to offer his thoughts. His voice was calm and collected, commanding attention despite the weight of his words. "Tess, you have consistently shown exceptional leadership qualities and initiative throughout your time at the institution, garnering the support and admiration of your classmates. And Lily, your strong organizational and interpersonal skills make you the perfect fit for the deputy position." We exchanged excited glances, unable to contain our happiness at the prospect of leading our fellow students. But amidst our joy, a question nagged at me. "What about Ree? He seems like he would excel in this role more than us." Director Cynthia leaned back in her chair, her gaze momentarily distant as she considered my concern. "You're not mistaken, Lilia. Ree is indeed a formidable candidate for a leadership position. However, we have decided to entrust him with another important responsibility, the leader of the disciplinary committee." My eyes widened in surprise, and I exchanged a bewildered glance with Tess. "The disciplinary committee?" Maintaining her poise and composure, Director offered further explanation. "The disciplinary committee's purpose is to resolve disputes, enforce rules, and uphold safety within the school. It is formed by selecting the strongest students at the academy, and Ree, you will have the task of handpicking them." "Huh?" Ree's usual calm and collected demeanor faltered for a moment, his expression mirrored our confusion. He closed his eyes momentarily, lost in thought, before addressing the director. "Who will be the committee deputy?" As if anticipating his question, the director reached into a drawer, retrieving a folded piece of paper that she handed to Ree. "Claire Bladeheart. She is a battle mage student, entering Xyrus Academy with immense potential. She is currently in her 5th year. Recognition flickered in Ree's eyes as he read the name. "Oh, Caspian's niece?" My curiosity piqued at the mention of someone connected to Ree. "Do you know her?" Ree chuckled softly, a trace of amusement weaving through his voice. "Caspian once mentioned her in passing, boasting about his talented niece. However, our paths have never crossed before." Without warning, Ree stood up abruptly, as he indicated his intention to leave. The director couldn't help but inquire about his sudden departure. "Where are you going?" "I will go meet her," Ree replied nonchalantly. "Since she is in her 5th year, she will undoubtedly know many excellent students. I will enlist her help in selecting the committee members." We exchanged stunned glances, unable to believe Ree's nonchalant attitude towards such a significant responsibility. It almost seemed as if he wanted to pass it on due to a sense of laziness. The director let out an exasperated sigh, rubbing her temples with her hand. "All right then, give this paper to the professor. Claire is likely in class right now." "Let's go, Lily," Ree said abruptly, his voice cutting through the air with an air of determination. Without sparing me a second glance, he strode out of the director's office, his confident strides leaving me with no choice but to scurry after him. The corridor stretched endlessly before us, lined with neatly stacked lockers and closed doors, each leading to a different classroom. Tess remained behind with the director, leaving me to join Ree on this unfamiliar journey. As we ventured down the hallway, a whirlwind of emotions swept through me. Excitement bubbled up within me like a playful splash in a fountain, blending seamlessly with a tinge of nervousness that settled in the pit of my stomach. It was a heady mix, an elixir of anticipation that crashed against the shores of responsibility. Becoming a part of the student council meant carrying a weighty burden of duties and expectations, and I hoped, with every fiber of my being, that my abilities would measure up to the task at hand. In an attempt to break the uncomfortable silence that enveloped us, I turned to Ri, desperately searching for a conversational lifeline. "So, what are your initial impressions about being on the disciplinary committee?" I asked, my words coming out in a rush. Ri shrugged nonchalantly, a barely there hint of disinterest dancing across his features. "It's whatever. I guess someone has to do it," he replied, his voice carrying an air of resignation. Seeking to uplift his spirits, I offered my genuine reassurance, genuine admiration shining in my eyes. "Well, I genuinely think you'll excel in this role. Your fairness and level-headedness are admirable qualities. And let's not forget, you have this uncanny ability to captivate people's attention," I said, my voice laced with conviction. Ri stole a fleeting glance at me, a subtle smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. The glimmer of amusement in his eyes told me that my words had landed, if only for a moment. "You really believe that, huh? As long as I don't find myself buried beneath mountains of paperwork, I suppose I'll manage," he replied, his voice dripping with a playful sarcasm. A soft chuckle escaped my lips, the sound carrying traces of amusement and affection. Ri's infamous disdain for administrative tasks was well known, often leaving others bewildered as to how he managed to navigate through school successfully. "Do you have anything you want to say, Lily?" Ri said, catching me off guard with his sudden attention. His gaze, familiar and filled with understanding, bore into mine as if he could peer into the deepest recesses of my thoughts. "Lily, we've known each other since we were 4. I'll definitely know if there's something on your mind." A mixture of hesitation and vulnerability surged through me as I opened up to him, confiding in the one person who had always been there, the anchor to my storms. "Well, I would have preferred to be on the disciplinary committee instead of the student council," I confessed, feeling a weight lift from my chest as the words slipped from my lips. Ri's lips tugged into a sarcastic smile, a playful glint in his eyes. "Oh, really? You'd rather deal with disciplinary issues and enforcing rules than making important decisions for the school? That's surprising," he teased, his voice laced with a playful banter. Annoyance mixed with affection coursed through me, and I playfully punched his arm, a gesture that had become second nature to us. "You know what I mean," I retorted, a smile dancing at the corners of my lips. Ri nodded thoughtfully, his gaze shifting towards the void ahead as a brief moment of introspection crossed his face. "Yeah, maybe you're right. But don't worry, Lily. We'll still be working together on certain things, and I'll make sure to take breaks from my paperwork duties to annoy you," he replied, his voice softening with a tenderness that wasn't lost on me. Rolling my eyes at his predictable mischief, I couldn't help but respond, my voice carrying a hint of feigned exasperation. "Oh, thank you. I'll definitely look forward to that," I replied mockingly, a playful warmth enveloping us in its embrace. "Anyway, I will now go to the DC room. So go and get Claire," Ri said, his voice taking on a tone of finality as he handed me a crumpled piece of paper. "Wait, Ri," I screamed after him, but it was too late. He had already disappeared around the corner, leaving me to navigate the labyrinthine corridors alone. Letting out a sigh, I unfolded the paper in my hands. It detailed Claire's current class and served as a permission slip of sorts, granting us access to take her from the classroom. With a sigh of surrender, I set off towards Claire's classroom, my steps filled with purpose. As I approached the door, I paused to collect myself. Taking a deep breath, I raised a hand and gently knocked. Without waiting for a response, I carefully opened the door, revealing a world in motion. The classroom buzzed with energy as students engaged in various conversations or diligently worked on their assignments. The walls were adorned with colorful posters and charts, showcasing the vast array of knowledge that this room held. Mathematics equations and scientific formulas decorated the whiteboard. At the front of the class, a woman stood with poise, her back turned towards the entrance as she scribbled equations onto the whiteboard. Her long, sleek black hair cascaded over her shoulders, adding an air of elegance to her already commanding presence. As she finished writing, she turned around, her sharp eyes the color of icy glaciers scanning the room with a piercing intensity. Her gaze locked onto mine, assessing my presence with a single glance. I nodded as I approached her. "Yes, we need to take one of your students. It's important," I said as I handed her the paper and briefly explained the situation. The professor's eyes flickered over the paper, her expression unreadable, before she nodded and smiled. The tension in the room seemed to dissipate slightly, replaced by a sense of understanding. She gestured towards a young woman sitting in the back of the classroom, her red hair like a flame dancing against the sea of students. "That would be Claire," the professor said, her voice confident and composed. "Go ahead and bring her with you, it seems urgent." My eyes landing on Claire. Her attention was fully absorbed in her work, her forehead furrowed with concentration. As I approached her, the rhythmic swaying of her vibrant red hair caught my attention, mesmerizing me for a brief moment. "Claire," I called out softly, not wanting to disturb the other students in the room. She turned towards me, her silver eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of concern. "Come here, the director wants you," the professor said, her voice carrying a hint of urgency. Claire's gaze shifted from me to the professor, her forehead creased with worry. "What does she want?" Claire questioned, her voice laced with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how much information to reveal. "You will be informed of this later, but for now, go with Miss Lilia," the professor said, gesturing towards me. Claire nodded, her expression a mix of curiosity and uncertainty, and followed me out of the classroom. Together, we navigated the labyrinthine corridors, the sound of our footsteps echoing against the tiled floors. The school seemed eerily quiet without the usual buzz of students, creating an eerie atmosphere charged with anticipation. Claire and I walked down the long, the sound of our footsteps echoing against the cold, stone walls. Claire's restless energy was almost palpable, the tension evident in the slight fidgeting of her hands and the furrowed lines on her forehead. As the silence stretched on, Claire finally broke it, her voice tinged with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. "Can you tell me why the director wants me?" Her words hung in the air, a fragile thread of curiosity searching for an anchor amidst the uncertainty. I glanced at her, my own uncertainty mirrored in my eyes, but determined to remain calm and composed. The truth was, I didn't really know where the disciplinary committee room was located, and I wasn't about to admit it. Trying to alleviate her growing nerves, I replied, "You'll find out soon enough. But don't worry too much." A humorless chuckle escaped Claire's lips, her skepticism seeping through her words. "Well, that's hard to do when the director sends one of her direct disciples to pick up a student. It doesn't exactly inspire confidence." Unable to suppress my amusement, I let out a soft chuckle. I understood her reservations, the weight of expectations bearing down on her shoulders. "I assure you, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. The director just wants to speak with you about a leadership position. It's actually quite an honor." Her eyebrow raised in skepticism. Claire's silver eyes flickered with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. "A leadership position? But I've never been involved in anything like that before. Are you sure she didn't make a mistake?" Shaking my head, I reached out to offer her a reassuring smile. "I'm sure she didn't. The director has a keen eye for potential, and she believes in you. Just trust in yourself and your abilities. You might surprise yourself." A small, hesitant smile tugged at the corners of Claire's lips, her doubts slowly dissipating. "All right, I'll try to keep an open mind. It's just a lot to process. But I appreciate your reassurance, Lilia." I nodded understandingly, knowing that a new path can be overwhelming. "I completely understand. It's a big responsibility, and it's natural to feel a bit overwhelmed. But remember, you have the strength and skills that caught the director's attention. Trust yourself, Claire." As we continued to walk, the sound of our footsteps creating a steady rhythm, silence enveloped us once more. The air was cool and crisp, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of the nearby trees. As the sunlight filtered through the foliage, casting dappled patterns on the ground, a flash of white caught my attention. I turned to see a ball of fur bounding towards us, its small form filled with energy and excitement. It was Sylvie. Her pristine white fur shimmered in the sunlight as she gracefully leapt into my arms, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Sylvie, what's wrong?" I asked, slightly puzzled by her sudden appearance. "Q!" Sylvie exclaimed, gesturing urgently in the direction from which she came, her fluffy tail wagging eagerly. Realization dawned on me as I glanced at Claire, who looked equally bewildered. "Come on, let's hurry up a little. Sylvie's showing us the way," I said. But isn't the director's office in the opposite direction?" Claire tentatively asked, her brows furrowing with uncertainty. "Yes, but we're not going there," I replied, flashing a reassuring smile at Claire. It still struck me as strange that a mighty dragon like Sylvie was the one guiding us. "By the way, is this your bond?" Claire asked, her eyes filled with curiosity as she gazed at Sylvie's adorable form. I could see the sparkle in her eyes, and I couldn't blame her. Sylvie truly was one of the cutest creatures in the world. "No, she's not my bond," I clarified, a fond smile playing on my lips as I continued to stroke Sylvie's soft fur. "But she's still a very important friend. Sylvie actually belongs to my childhood friend, but she seems to have taken a liking to me as well." "Oh, I see," Claire replied, her tone filled with understanding. "Well, she's absolutely adorable." "I know. That was my reaction when I first saw her," I confessed, my voice filled with affection as I continued to admire Sylvie's cute little paws and gentle eyes. Lost in our conversation and the comforting presence of Sylvie, we soon reached our destination. As I opened the door, Sylvie wriggled out of my arms and darted into the room, her excitement palpable. As I stepped into the disciplinary committee room, my expectations were far surpassed. Instead of the anticipated serious and formal space, I found myself immersed in an atmosphere of warmth and comfort. Soft, ambient lighting caressed the room, casting a gentle glow that bathed every corner. It created a cozy ambiance, inviting anyone who entered to feel at ease. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled to the brim with thick volumes that contained the school's rules and regulations. Cases and files from past disciplinary actions were neatly placed alongside them, creating an air of both authority and history. The scent of old parchment and polished wood mingled in the air, creating a pleasant and inviting aroma that enveloped the room. At the focal point of the room, Ree leaned casually against a polished desk, exuding an effortless ease that dripped from every pore. The soft lighting danced upon his features, accentuating his handsome appearance and casting mesmerizing shadows in the depths of his alluring eyes. As his gaze briefly lifted from his conversation with Sylvie, a small, genuine smile tugged at the corners of his lips, injecting an irresistible charm into his aura. "Ah, you've graced us with your presence," Ree greeted warmly, his honeyed voice casting a delightful spell upon the room. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Claire Bladeheart." Recognition mingled with a hint of confusion flickered across Claire's face, her brows furrowing ever so slightly. "Excuse me, but have we met before?" "No, not yet," Ree responded, his voice carrying a subtle whisper of mystery and intrigue. "However, we will undoubtedly work together closely in the days to come." Eager to properly introduce Ree, I stepped forward, a burst of enthusiasm radiating from my every step. "Claire, allow me to present Rimuru Lewin, my dear childhood friend and a disciple of the director." Surprise intermingled with curiosity danced in Claire's eyes as the name registered. I wasn't aware that the director had taken on another disciple, besides Princess Tessia and you. A soft chuckle escaped Ree's lips, ethereal in its playful melody. "Unlike them, I am not officially registered within the academy. My training demands most of my time, which explains your unfamiliarity with me." Claire nodded, her expression now an intricate blend of awe and inquisitiveness. "Well, it is an honor to finally make your acquaintance, Rimuru," she said, extending her hand in a gesture of greeting. Ree gracefully accepted her hand, his grip assertive yet gentle, leaving no doubt of his confidence. "The honor is mine, Claire." As I beheld their interaction with a heartfelt smile, I meandered towards a pair of plush couches nestled within a cozy corner of the room. I motioned for Sylvie to join me, and she joyfully leapt onto my lap, her small body fitting perfectly in the cradle of my arms. With a tender touch, I gently patted her, savoring the softness of her fur beneath my fingertips. Sylvie, with her round eyes and delicate snout, sometimes resembled more of a cat than a dragon, but she was undeniably a cherished companion who brought joy and comfort to my life. Ree's mischievous glint returned, capturing my attention once more. "However, I must say, you are fashionably late." I playfully retorted, a hint of annoying lacing my words. "Well, if you had bothered to inform me where the room was, I might have arrived on time." Ree chuckled, shaking his head ever so slightly. "Touché. Apologies for that oversight. Please, take a seat, Claire. We have much to discuss." Claire gracefully settled into one of the inviting sofas, her eyes flitting between Ree and me as she eagerly waited for the discussion to commence. Meanwhile, Ree walked over to the desk, gently pushed aside a stack of papers before leaning against it again. His gaze became focused and serious, a look of determination settling over his features. "Well, Claire," Ree began, his warm tone filling the spacious room. "Let me ask you, what do you know about the student council?" His voice held an undercurrent of excitement. Claire's brows furrowed slightly, her uncertainty blending with curiosity. "I've heard some rumors that they might form next year," she replied, her voice tinged with intrigue. A spark danced in Ree's piercing gold eyes, mirth crinkling the corners. "Indeed, the director has finally decided to create another committee called the Disciplinary Committee," he explained, his words carrying weighty importance. "Their mission will be to resolve disputes, enforce rules, and maintain the safety and harmony within our esteemed school." Claire's eyes brightened in surprise, her undivided attention now captured by Ree's words. "That sounds like a huge responsibility, and an honor to be a part of." "It is indeed a significant role," Ree agreed, his gaze penetrating and intense. "And that is exactly why we need you, Claire Bladeheart, to join the committee as my deputy." Claire's mouth opened in shock, momentarily rendered speechless as she absorbed his proposition. The air in the room seemed to shimmer with possibility, her thoughts racing to comprehend the magnitude of such an offer. "Me? As your deputy?" she whispered, her voice barely audible amid the thick silence. "But why me?" Ree's expression softened, a gentle smile tugging at the corners of his lips. His voice became a soothing cadence, laced with genuine warmth. "Because, Claire, you possess the qualities that are not only essential but also rare in a person taking on this role. Leadership, determination, and a profound sense of fairness," he declared, his voice carrying a sense of certainty and confidence. "That is why we have chosen you." Doubt and hesitation flickered in Claire's eyes, her inner turmoil bubbling to the surface like a tempest. "But I don't know if I'm ready for such a position," she admitted, her voice a whisper filled with vulnerability. "Excellent," he exclaimed, a note of triumph ringing in his voice, his eyes gleaming with a victorious light. "Now, with a task for you." Moving gracefully, he reached for a stack of papers resting on the corner of the desk, their edges slightly curled from the weight of the words inked upon them. With a casual flick of his wrist, he presented them to Claire, his actions imbued with a sense of purpose. "Since you are already in your 5th year, you have the advantage of knowing about the outstanding students," he explained, his voice a velvety undertone. "I want you to choose some of them to join us, and write their information on these papers." Claire nodded, her fingers reaching out to delicately grasp the precious stack of papers. Her touch was hesitant, as if recognizing the significance of the task entrusted to her. "How many people am I supposed to choose?" she inquired, her voice gentle yet laden with determination, a hint of curiosity dancing in her bright eyes. Ree, leaning back slightly against the desk, raised his index finger to tap pensively against his chin. The thoughtful rhythm echoed in the room as he pondered his response, a playful glint in his eyes. He mused, his voice flowing with a sense of intrigue. "The committee should consist of no less than 5 individuals, but no more than 10. Let's also take into account that the principal will probably want to handpick a few students for the next academic year." Brows furrowing slightly, Claire sought clarity amidst the confusion. A flicker of curiosity illuminated her eyes as they met Ree's. "Why? Wouldn't it be better to select students from the higher years?" she questioned, her desire to understand burning through her uncertainty. Ree's smile widened as a knowing twinkle gleamed in his gaze. Leaning in slightly, he exuded an air of quiet authority as he began to explain. "There are 2 reasons," he elucidated, his velvety undertone rich with conviction. "Firstly, the committee should be comprised of the strongest students in the entire academy. Therefore, regardless of their year of study, if they fall under that category, they will be chosen." His voice carried an unyielding determination, as if no amount of opposition could sway their decisions. A spark of interest flickered in Claire's eyes, her focus intensifying as she absorbed his words. "And the second reason?" she prompted, eager for a deeper understanding. His posture straightening, Ree exuded a newfound intensity as he leaned forward, resting his weight against the desk. "The Academy, for the first time in history, will be welcoming elves and dwarves," he revealed. The significance of the statement hangs in the air, turning their discussion into something far more profound. This marks a significant step towards inclusivity, and it is essential that the committee reflects this diversity. So, it would be beneficial to choose at least one deserving student from these races, to challenge and ultimately overturn any remnants of racism that may exist. Claire's gaze shifted between Ree and me, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude, uncertainty, and a flicker of determination. Her fingers tightened around the edges of the papers, as if clinging to the noble ideals they represent. I understand, she finally spoke, her voice filled with newfound conviction. I will do my best to fulfill this task, to uphold our values and to make a difference. Ri's face radiated with delight, his voice tinged with anticipation. That's the spirit, Claire Bladeheart, he proclaimed, his eyes shining with a hint of admiration and excitement. He knew, in that moment, that she was the right person for the task at hand.